A handful of new details about Starfield have come out that's got fans and critics a little steamed up. Oh, and despite Starfield not being out yet, and Elder Scrolls 6 still being in pre-production, Fallout 5 has been confirmed. Alright, let's get into it. Of course, on Sunday, we got the first official gameplay trailer and walkthrough for Bethesda's long-awaited open-world action RPG. Bethesda director and executive producer Todd Howard showed off the starting area for the game, combat, character customization, multiple factions, crafting, base building, and even shipbuilding. However, there was one part of the presentation that left potential players with more questions than answers. Howard explained that in Starfield, you can land anywhere on a planet, and that there are multiple planets in a system and 100 systems in the game, adding up to approximately 1,000 planets to potentially explore in Starfield. This kicked off online discourse across social media, message boards, and gaming websites simply because we've heard and seen this kind of thing before. No Man's Sky has certainly come a long way, but in the beginning there were a lot of procedurally generated planets with not much variety and not much to do on them. While that might make for an accurate representation of space, it doesn't exactly make for fun times while playing a video game. Now, Starfield is looking like it might run into a similar situation. In a recent interview with IGN, Todd Howard addressed the rising concerns, implying that fans shouldn't be too worried since Bethesda has been using procedural generation in their games for a very long time, including with Skyrim and going all the way back to Elder Scrolls 2. Howard went on to say, "I should also add that we have done more handcrafting in Starfield, content-wise, than any game we've done. We're at over 200,000 lines of dialogue, so we still do a lot of handcrafting, and if people just want to do what they're used to in our games and follow a main quest and do the quest lines, you're gonna see what you'd kind of expect from us." He continued, "But then you have this whole other part of, well, I'm just going to wander this planet and it's going to provide some gameplay and some random content and those kinds of things." He went on to explain, "So we're pretty careful about saying, here's where the fun is. Here's this kind of content. But if you want to go land on that weird planet, check it out and build an outpost and live your life there and watch the sunset because you like the view of the moons there, go for it. We love that stuff." Now, that all seems like a fairly reasonable response, but it doesn't exactly or directly address the concerns players have brought up about having 1,000 worlds to explore, but nothing really to do on them. According to Howard, Bethesda will be talking more in depth about their approach to procedurally generated content and how it fits into the game in the coming months. One additional issue that came up though with some players surrounding planets is that Starfield will not support a direct flight from space to planet or planet to space in game. Basically, there will be a loading screen in between or some type of transition instead. Howard addressed that as well, saying early on the Starfield team decided a planet's surface is one reality and space is another, arguing that it would allow them to better focus on making each component of the game better. He explained, "If you try to really spend a lot of time engineering the in-between, like the segue, you're just spending a lot of time on something that's really just not that important to the player. So let's make sure it's awesome when you're on the surface and awesome when you're in space, and those realities look and play as good as they can." Now, people seem to be pretty split on this, so much so that it could have potentially even contributed to No Man's Sky trending on Twitter. That is, of course, alongside all of the other comparisons players are making between No Man's Sky and Starfield. Of course, No Man's Sky does support that kind of seamless transition of flying from a planet's surface out into space or vice versa, coming out from space and being able to land anywhere on a planet's surface. Some players are obviously going to miss the feeling of seamlessly exploring endless space, but others feel that planet landings are actually kind of a nuisance or a waste of time. There was another criticism that came up when the official Bethesda Twitter account seemingly tweeted out the answer to a common question, writing, "Yes, dialogue in Starfield is first person and your character does not have a voice." This, of course, created another schism between fans who are split between whether a voice character is more or less immersive. Some players said it seemed outdated not to have a voice character and made it harder to connect, while others refuted that not having a voice doesn't affect their connection with the character they are role-playing. One Twitter user said they wanted their character to have a badass voice like Geralt, while another replied, "Geralt is already an established character and not a complete blank slate, and basically that in Bethesda games, you're the character, so you're supposed to use your own voice because it's a role-playing game." Another fan said they were disappointed and that it feels like a step back from Fallout 4, which had a voice protagonist, while again others refused, saying for them a voice character can be less immersive. I personally am not entirely sure exactly where I fall in on this argument, but I do know one thing for sure. Nobody really truly ever wins a Twitter argument. Oh, and there is, of course, one more bit of news pertaining to the future of Bethesda Game Studios. During that interview with IGN, Todd Howard did happen to confirm Fallout 5. It's not particularly a surprise, but after so many years and versions of Skyrim, I'm sure a lot of people are feeling a little bit salty. Specifically, Howard said, yes, Elder Scrolls 6 is in pre-production, and we're going to be doing Fallout 5 after that. So our slate's pretty full going forward for a while. We have some other projects that we look at from time to time as well. IGN did manage to confirm from Todd Howard that Starfield, when it comes out, would have taken over 7 years in development. So if you do the napkin math, that's what? Elder Scrolls 6 by about 2030, and then Fallout 5 by 2037 or 2040. Maybe that's being generous. I don't know. Maybe that's being too harsh. Let me know in the comments. All right, that's going to do it for today. Thank you everybody for watching, and for more video game news and updates, be sure to stay tuned right here to Inside Gaming.